Since the announcement of the very first Samsung Galaxy Fold, there has been a debate. Are foldable phones the future? And will they fully replace smartphones eventually? Or are they just a fad? I do happen to have an opinion on the matter, and what better time than now to talk about it, as Samsung just released their new Galaxy Z Fold 3 and Galaxy Z Flip 3. I don't get the point of the Z or Z, but whatever. The general idea behind folding phones is being able to pack a bigger screen inside of a more portable chassis. And I specifically avoided saying smaller because that simply wouldn't be true. A Galaxy Flip is pretty much as big as many other smartphones. It just folds to become more compact vertically, but it doesn't magically become smaller, it doesn't lose mass. And the same is true for the Fold, obviously. In that case it's actually bigger than your average phone, but it comes with a bigger screen on the inside. That makes it a small tablet, basically. And these two are the two main archetypes of folding phones for now. Phone that becomes smaller and phone that becomes a tablet, starting on all in one kidney. Yeah, the price is definitely one of their main problems, but more on that later. For now, what's their purpose? The Fold's bigger display should allow you to do more stuff on it, right? I mean, technically, maybe. In the sense that, yeah, it's better for split screens since you simply have more screen to work with, but honestly, it's not something I've ever cared about. Personally, I never had this need to do more than one thing at once on a smartphone. I've heard people saying how they feel much more productive on the Fold, but it's not a reason that could ever get me to buy a foldable, honestly. Maybe there's a niche, but I'm surely not part of it. If I have to do something more complex, I simply have a computer for that. The other thing that should be better with a bigger screen is watching videos. But is it? The big screen has an aspect ratio of 4:3, which means to fully take advantage of the entire display, you have to crop a good portion of the video. And if you don't zoom in, it's basically the same as any other smartphone. Some apps, according to Samsung, will run directly in tablet mode, with some optimizations for the bigger display, which is nice, but the screen itself, it's not even that big actually. The display diagonal is 7.6 inch, which means it's even smaller than the one on the iPad mini. And this is probably one of the limitations that Samsung cannot easily fix, at least for now, because otherwise it would become a massive phone. Now, what about the Flip? Well, that's just a regular smartphone that becomes a flip phone. It doesn't really have any groundbreaking features. The one feature I saw is you can basically unfold it, keeping it at a 90-degree angle so that it can sustain itself without the need of a tripod. That's kinda cool, I guess. In many situations an actual tripod will surely be better, but it's something. It also has an external tiny screen next to the cameras, which is nice, but that's not something that's made possible by the form factor, obviously. If anything, the form factor is only making it a necessity now, and if you actually look at the marketing, even Samsung is making it very clear that's all just about fashion. So they are both not that incredibly more useful, I'd say, and it's not like those features come without compromises. By design, they are way more fragile. The screen scratches way more easily. If you remember, the first iterations were permanently scratched by fingernails. Also, there's that crease in the middle, which is a side effect of having a screen that folds. I've actually tried the first generation Galaxy Fold in real life. It was very noticeable, definitely worse than the notch, for example. Let's hope they find a way around this issue. I would say they are improving. The two new models Samsung just launched are finally water resistant, only water though, they are still not dust resistant. Even the price, believe it or not, is getting a bit better. The Fold is still absolutely ridiculous, starting at $17.99. But it's an improvement over the previous model, I guess. The Flip though starts at $1,000, which still isn't cheap, don't get me wrong, but it's basically as much as an iPhone 12 Pro, and actually, in Europe, it's even less than that. But if you remember, my question wasn't just about whether they are good or not. The question was whether they'll become the next standard, completely replacing smartphones. And I'm kinda starting to think they could. It's not certain, absolutely not, but it's a possibility. Here's why. Smartphones have peaked. There's no denying it. Every year they change less and less. There simply is nothing left to improve anymore, or at least nothing exciting to improve. And it will only get worse. Obviously, companies want to sell you as much stuff as possible, but they can only sell the same phone so many times. People are, in fact, upgrading less frequently now. I think it's time for a change. Not really because we need it, but because they do. Yeah, as I said, foldables do have issues, mainly the price. But realistically, with time, they will get better and cheaper. I remain of the opinion that they are not that useful, but they are different, I guess. They are absolutely not as big of a revolution as the first iPhone, not even close, but they are different. And that may be enough to get people interested in smartphones again, and as we wait for the actual next big thing, I think there's a chance foldables will become more of a standard. even if for just a short period of time. And I mean, we know how this stuff works. As cool as Samsung tries to make them, and aesthetically, by the way, I think they succeeded. The flip especially looks very nice anyway. A technology usually becomes a standard when Apple decides it, so we gotta wait for their move. I still think that smartphones in general will be replaced by something else, something completely different, and that we won't even have to wait that much. And I do have an idea as to what that next big thing will be. If you're interested, well, stay tuned. For now, what do you think of those new foldables by Samsung? Are you planning on buying one? Let me know. Ciao!